Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Monday, December 13, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 270 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Milwaukee Bucks vs Boston Celtics. The Bucks will be playing against Boston, having just beaten the New York Knicks by a score of 112-97. In the game, Chris Middleton led the group with 24 points and 8 rebounds. Giannis Antetokounmpo finished with a triple-double at 20 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. Milwaukee dominated New York in the paint, finishing with 46 points compared to the Knicks at 30. If the offensive firepower isn't there, the Celtics have to find some life defensively. Despite being ranked 10th in the league in defensive efficiency, they have been pummeled on that end of the floor in their last 5 consecutive outings. I'm not going to gloss over the fact that they've dabbled in the murderer's row portion of their schedule, with all of those games being on the road. So there's some hope brighter days are coming once they return home on Monday. The Celtics are coming off a 111-90 loss to the Phoenix Suns. After a tight first quarter, Boston fell behind in the second period as they scored just 15 points. On the night, the team hit just 15% of their three-point shots. Jason Tatum was the lone bright spot, scoring 24 points in 34 minutes of action. Our first betting advice is to pick Milwaukee Bucks to cover the spread. The Bucks are the wrong opponent to have come up on the schedule when your team is already struggling. Things started off a bit shaky earlier in the season, but now, Milwaukee is starting to look like the same team that broke through last season and won the NBA championship. Boston hasn't been able to get any stops defensively, and Jason Tatum is starting to look like the Lone Ranger on the offensive end of the floor. Yes, I know the Phoenix Suns are one of the best teams in the league, but there are no positive takeaways from Boston getting held to 90 points and 37.6% shooting. The Suns are one of the most well-rounded teams in the league, just like the Bucks. Our second betting advice is to pick over. Quick reminder, BetUS is a platform that offers betting on all major sport and horse racing leagues. It has slots, table games, blackjack, and a variety of other casino games. All of the major US leagues are available for betting, including the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, and PGA. In addition, BetUS allows wagers on esports, Olympic events, soccer, cricket, boxing, cycling, and many more competitions. Join BetUS now using our link down below and get 125% cashback bonus on your first deposit on the sportsbook after you open an account and deposit using our link and use our promo code HIGHSTAKES. Houston Rockets vs Atlanta Hawks. The Rockets will enter the game on the heels of a 113-106 loss on the road to the Memphis Grizzlies. Despite the loss, the Rockets brass had to be pleasantly surprised with the continued development of second-year point guard Armoni Brooks out of the University of Houston. Brooks 18 points, 6 boards, and 6 assists in the loss. Through the last 3 games, Brooks has averaged 17.7 ppg, 5.3 rpg, and 4.3 app, while turning the ball over just 4 times total in that stretch. He will need to continue his rise and use Christian Wood to the best of his abilities as well to compete with the Hawks. Atlanta comes into this game favored by 11 points, but that number seems to be set a little too high here. Not only has Atlanta been underwhelming in the early part of the season, but the Rockets come into this game playing their best basketball of the season. Houston has operated much more efficiently on both ends of the floor without number 2 overall pick Jalen Green soaking up minutes in the backcourt. In their latest game, the Hawks took a 113-105 loss in Brooklyn to the Eastern Conference leading Nets. As a team, they shot just 39.4% from the field, while allowing the Nets to shoot close to 50%. Trae Young had 31 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. Unfortunately, he also had 7 turnovers. His 7 turnovers were half of the total amount for the team. He will need to play much more under control in this next game against Houston. He surely is capable of that, but it's a question of whether he is willing to take this depleted Houston squad seriously. Our first betting advice is to pick Houston Rockets. While Young's numbers might not jump off of the charts this year, he's having arguably his best NBA season in year 4. The Hawks point guard is averaging 26.5 points and a career-high 9.5 assists per game this season. He's also shot 45.2% from the field, 38.6% from beyond the arc, and 88.7% from the charity stripe, which all represent career-high marks through 26 games. According to dunksandthrees.com, the Hawks come into the week ranked number 8 in the NBA with an adjusted plus 2.6 net rating. Atlanta sports the third best defense in the league with an adjusted 113.4 efficiency rating through 26 contests. However, the Hawks have struggled defensively, ranking 21st in the league with an adjusted 110.8 mark. Our second betting advice is to pick over. Philadelphia 76ers vs Memphis Grizzlies. Philadelphia has won 4 of their last 5 games largely on the shoulders of their MVP-caliber big man. Joel Embiid is averaging 24.2 points, 10.8 rebounds, and shooting 38% from three-point land. The 76ers have been without star point guard Ben Simmons for all of this season. They are gaining ground in trade talks and are hoping to trade the disgruntled guard at some point before Christmas. The Grizzlies had me looking in their direction until the injury bug started to bite down harder. Not only is the team playing without their leader, Ja Morant, but now, they're also down Steven Adams and possibly even Jaren Jackson Jr. They've certainly been one of the more resilient teams in the league, but there eventually comes a time when the injuries are just too much to overcome. That's the point the Grizzlies will have reached by Monday. Adams was the team's leading rebounder, and his absence down low is going to make it even harder for them to contain Sixers star center Joel Embiid. Quite frankly, the entire front court for the Grizzlies looks like it's in shambles ahead of this game. Adams is likely out of the lineup, along with forward Brandon Clark. With Jackson also being questionable, the combination of Embiid and Tobias Harris are going to wreak havoc on Memphis's interior defense. Memphis started the second half by missing 9 of its first 10 shots. That helped the Rockets cut their deficit to single digits. Bane and Brooks made key free throws down the stretch to preserve the victory. The Grizzlies were playing without star point guard Ja Morant, as well as Jaren Jackson Jr. Kyle Anderson started in Jackson's spot and hit all 5 of his shots in the first half. He finished with 16 points. Memphis is 7-1 since Ja Morant sprained his left knee in a November 26 loss to Atlanta. Our first betting advice is to pick Philadelphia 76ers to cover the spread. Even after losing the driving force behind their offense, Ja Morant, they've still managed to stay relevant in the Western Conference. One of the biggest reasons behind their success has been their defensive improvements. They're no longer a team that depends on scoring 110-plus points to win games. Make no mistake, Dillon Brooks and company can still gash you on the scoreboard, but they can also make life difficult on the defensive end of the floor. They have held 5 of their last 7 opponents to less than 100 points. We'll see if that effort continues against a tough Sixers team on Monday. Joel Embiid's versatility for a man his size makes him a nightmare to deal with on the court. Throw Tobias Harris in the mix, and it's a Herculean task for any front court to deal with Philly. Memphis has been lights out shooting at home this season, but they're going to be tested against a Sixers team that just turned the lights out on the Golden State Warriors.